So should we say welcome? Welcome, you all. Sorry.
Welcome you all.
Welcome you all.
There was a thing on the on this grammar review for my students today, and it was like, there's one mistake in each line. Find the mistake and rewrite it. And one of them was, "Hello, y'all. How are you doing?" And they're like, "Teacher, what's wrong with this?" And I was just started laughing. I was like, well, people do speak this way, so I want you to know that that's not really wrong. But what they want you to do is change y'all to you all. And
there's nothing wrong with y'all.
Well, nobody says hello, you all. That's why people use the term guys. Hey guys. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with y'all, of course, but I made them understand, you'll sound like a robot if you say hello, you all to a group of people. And they're like, oh, okay.
But now I want to do that. Hello, you all. It is me. I have arrived. Shall we congregate?
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void, and darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Yes. Hello, you all. This is Heat Death of the Universe. It is January 28th. The year is 2021. It is 9:27 p.m. It's a Thursday evening. The podcasting hour. So, Joe Biden's been following the science, did you know?
Where did it lead him?
Well, he's following it all over the place. I mean, I see a picture of him with a mask on. That seems science following-ish.
He's like a real Gumbo. Gumbo was a detective, right? He was that banjo playing detective.
Yeah, they call detectives gumbos.
Did you ever see the movie Gumbo? A terrible movie.
What?
It's actually not a terrible movie.
You mean gummo?
Yeah. Gumbo.
You just mixed up 6 things in less than 2 sentences. I do know from Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, the term is gumshoe for detective. Gumbo is a food. Where's gumbo from? I want to say it's Louisiana, but maybe elsewhere.
It's from Louisiana.
And there's a movie called Dumbo. and a movie called Gummo. Gummo's that movie where the guy wrestles a chair in the kitchen. It's the only part of that movie I like. The rest of the movie made me feel gross. Yeah.
That director had that effect on me too.
His last movie was pretty good though.
I didn't see his last movie.
It doesn't make your skin crawl in quite the same way. It's called The Beach Bum with Matthew McConaughey. It's pretty good. Anyway, Joe Biden sucks still in so many ways. I'll just do a quick rundown of...
Do you have to suck when you follow science?
Well, not necessarily.
You know who else follows science? Elon Musk.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about Joe Biden is, I'll even read you this headline here from our favorite Branko Marcetic.
He's all right.
Joe Biden said he'd, quote, follow the science on the pandemic. He isn't. No, there was just there was a group of 150 doctors and epidemiologists and nurses, things like that, all signed a letter basically begging Biden to do a full lockdown of the country as the only way to possibly stop a huge loss of life.
How many people signed the letter?
150.
I bet 150 more would have had they not died.
Possibly, yes. And also, I bet more people will add their signatures to things like that as we get less and less enamored with the new Biden.
I've heard people
presidency.
are crying on the news whenever his plane arrives because they're so happy to have a new president who follows science.
Well,
not like crying and like, oh my God, why me? But like tears of joy.
I figured.
I cry why me very often.
Yeah.
I remember earlier this year when I still had hope.
I don't remember that.
I did. Well, no, not this year. This is 2021. I mean, it was hopeless.
Yeah, I know what you meant, but yeah. So this letter, the quote, just a quotation from it is that they are urging Biden to, quote, shut it down now and start over. Of course, he's not commented on this letter and continues to ignore it. And instead of shutting things down, he's doing exactly what Trump and Trump's people wanted to do. He's just picking up the baton in the same place, which is open up everything to like full capacity, schools, businesses, just open it up. And the vaccine is still not going out at a rate even close to what it would need for either Biden's insane goal of 100 million vaccinations in 100 days, or even to like vaccinate the whole country in a year. And across the pond, Boris Johnson government warns that the UK COVID strain is more deadly. And it's like real chaos in the UK right now. Like they have the highest rate per capita of infections on the planet right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
They were really close to that a little while ago too. Like they've had a higher per capita infection rate than the US for a little while now. And because also, yeah, Boris Johnson was like, fuck it, everybody go back to work, everybody go back to school. And of course, what do you think happens? But just a quick, so Johnson spoke after the government's new and emerging respiratory virus threats advisory group, known as NERVTAG,
NERVTAG,
announced that the B.1.1.7, which is the name of the new variant, may increase the death rate by 30 to 40%. They evaluated surveys by 3 university teams and Public Health England. So this isn't just like idle speculation. And when they first reported on this new strain coming out of the UK, they said it was 60 to 70% more contagious as well. So it's quite a bit more contagious and quite a bit more deadly. And yet people are still like dancing and lighting their little Biden, Kamala, Fauci prayer candles.
This all leads into my theory that Nostradamus was just 10 years off. 2022, baby.
I don't know. What?
He predicted the world would end in 2012, right? The world's ending now.
That's the Mayan calendar.
I thought that was Nostradamus.
I don't think so.
Oh.
I mean, maybe. That would be a weird coincidence, and maybe he knew about the Mayan calendar. I have no idea. But the 2012 thing comes from the Mayan calendar, and it was just because like the Mayan calendar like doesn't go beyond 2012 or something like that.
Why did I think that was Nostradamus?
I don't know, because it was like widely talked about as like the Mayan calendar. I remember even a Lil Wayne lyric about it. I don't know why that suddenly popped into my head. But yeah, sure.
I know why.
I mean, Nostradamus obviously was famous for predictions, but
I know why I thought that. There was a big like History Channel documentary back in 2011 about Nostradamus and all of his predictions, and they lumped all the Mayan calendar stuff in there, and I just assumed it was all part of the grand scheme of Nostradamus.
Okay. Well, yeah, could be 10 years off. I think the world's always ready to end or something.
Well, thank God. I mean, it sucks that Biden's not going to close down the country, but at least we have great leadership in Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, I
mean,
the mentioning the Dr. Fauci prayer candles, like, wait till next week, kids, whatever, people. What am I trying to say? Like, to be continued, like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
you know what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, I've got preparing a great dissection of Fauci. Just a couple more notes on the state of the COVID, and then we'll move on. So yeah, the UK has its own variant, which is pretty scary, and it's definitely confirmed that is like in quite a few other countries now. I saw the number somewhere earlier. It's like over 100 other countries, I'm pretty sure. And there's a South African variant. I don't really have any information on that one, but that one's traveled outside of South Africa quite a bit already as well. And even the great state of California has developed its own variant. Yet the governor of that state is like bragging about how he's going to just shove everyone back into schools like ASAP.
Good.
And as I think we talked about on a recent episode, like in Los Angeles, they had to like change the air pollution standards because they're cremating so many bodies. And I believe like virtually every single ICU bed is like full. throughout the entire state. But yet it's time to reopen. It's time to move on. It's time to get that economy chugging along, right? Yeah, so there's all that.
And it's bad right now. I mean, people are dying out there, but it's best for people to not know that. Actually, I think the media does a really shit job of like reporting on any of this, like any of the crisis. Like, it's really easy to just think that things aren't that bad. I think, especially if you're like in any position of just like being kind of comfortable. There's a lot of people really are just like out of work and struggling with like no help. I mean, the $1,800 that people have received is nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah, on that on that note, did you hear Biden is very willing to negotiate on the $1,400 now?
You mean the $2,000?
Yeah, the $2,000/$1,400.
God, what's going to be negotiated?
Well, like nothing is like, there's no fucking bill yet. I mean, like, the way I
thought he
understand,
promised it. Okay, that horse has been beaten to death, but just, I thought it was going to be right after we won the Georgia election.
hell no. That's why people are saying probably won't be till March or April even, like, because he's decided he wants to do everything in a bipartisan manner. And that's why he just said specifically, yeah, the $1,400 is on the table for negotiation.
Of course he said that.
And so it just gets worse. It just like every day it gets worse with this fucking asshole. Like, I wonder, of course people are just gonna like keep defending him, but like,
Decram's a hell of a drug.
Yeah. And
you see how gracefully he wears a Rolex?
yeah,
Okay, I shouldn't feed into that narrative. I don't actually care if a rich white man wears a Rolex, but
I mean, like, the only reason it was even notable was because, like, normally presidents pretend not to be as rich as they are, and he just couldn't be bothered to pretend.
Biden does a lot of pretending to begin with. Sorry if he forgets to pretend one thing. Do you know how hard it is to pretend your way through Alzheimer's?
Sounds like a real chore.
I mean, sometimes you have to be reminded that you're pretending.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man. Just come on, man. Speaking of come on, man, one of the first things to happen on Biden's watch, and this was not just like a vestige of like Trump like rolling over into Biden's presidency. There was a big convoy, military convoy, straight from Iraq, rolled into Syria, went directly to the oil fields, and just started guarding them. Yeah, if that's not a sign of business as usual, being back to normalcy, I don't know what is.
Are the oil fields Americans? Wait.
Yeah, oil fields that America owns in Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that how we take stuff? We just take our tanks over there. Say, we got tanks here now. This is us.
Basically, yeah, it seems to be the way. But nobody cares. Like, especially like the biggest fans, the people like crying and stuff when they see Kamala and Biden, like they don't give a fuck about the rest of the world at all. Like when you bring up any foreign policy, they're just like, whatever. At least I don't have to look at Trump anymore on the news.
That's true. They're the same type of people who assume that I live in North Korea because they've never heard of South Korea.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
Those people exist?
Yeah, maybe not anymore.
I hope that's crazy.
BTS has been on the Tonight Show enough to now that people might actually know South Korea. And it's lovely dancing men.
I mean, there's like, we could get way deeper into this, but like, I was just listening to some stuff about like, cause Blinken, Tony Blinken,
Dad Rock
man, he was just like, confirmed by the Senate, and like, you know, you can watch the whole like 4-hour thing. Of course I didn't do that. But
why does it take 4 hours?
I don't know, because these people are fucking monsters. Honestly, like for that, it's just their way of being like, we're very serious. We're serious men wearing suits and ties. Very serious. Yes, yes.
Lots of protocol.
But then when you
do it, because other people did it.
Look at the question. Like they're just all agreeing with each other. It's just this big circle jerk of like, yeah, I hate the BDS. Yeah, Palestine shouldn't do this. Yeah, let's go into Yemen. Yeah, let's overturn Venezuela. Like it was just this endless like this Blinken fucker is no different in substance than what's his fucking face? Damn it, I forgot his name. Pompeo. Or any of the other.
They want the same stuff. Like literally.
Yeah, it's just exactly the same.
They want the same, just American exceptionalism all around the world, right? And like,
even the like one thing they kept giving, like Biden on day one is gonna like reinstate the Iran nuclear deal, and well, that hasn't happened yet. And what this Blinken guy was saying about Iran, he's just using this talking point that apparently is like, it's the new Iraq has WMDs, kind of like, it's just like it's going viral all over. Like it's just the same language like being used on like every news channel now when they bring up Iran. He's like, Iran is like the number one. Fuck, I even wrote it down somewhere. Anyway, that doesn't matter the exact language, but the number one state sponsor of terrorism in the world, which is hilarious coming from our country, which is almost certainly the number one sponsor of state terrorism in the world. If you use any definition of terrorism that makes any sense.
Terrorism, that's people that actively want the destruction of America, right? Like leftists.
Yes, you can only terrorize an American. Nobody else has the terror gland like we do.
Well, the thing is, Americans are afraid. It's hard to scare other people because they don't feel fear.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, sharks.
What do you think about the double mask, triple mask stuff going on in the news right now? Sorry, going back to coronavirus just briefly, but I keep seeing reports that I'm supposed to wear more than one mask.
Oh, that's our good friend Fauci's answer to we're going to reopen everything despite like the virus being as bad as it's ever been is, well, why don't you try putting 2 masks on?
Is this like a ploy to get people? I mean, I'm all for wearing one mask. And you know, maybe it is more effective. I really don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, but the point, so yes, wear 2 masks if you want, but like,
but you have a hard time convincing people to wear one.
Yeah, and but if that's his answer, I mean, oh man, I can't wait to fucking. I hate Mr. Fauci so much. He's such a piece of shit.
I guess Virginia Tech researchers said a 3-layer mask could block up to 90% of particles. But yeah, just I'm sure it is more effective. But
you know what else is effective?
Everyone's staying home.
Yeah.
Everyone, being of like a stipend for the next 3 months while we hunker down, stay home, eat canned beans, enjoy our fucking life with our canned beans.
That was so funny about like early on in the pandemic. I forget who said it, but there was it and people started repeating the phrase like the cure can't be worse than the disease, or shouldn't be worse than the disease, implying that staying home is actually worse than dying.
To some people, it really is.
No, it's not.
Don't you miss your Saturday night?
Okay, well then
drinking until 8 a.m.
I can do that at home. And actually, honestly, I'm thriving with staying inside. It doesn't really bother me that much.
I mean, there was a.
Also, you can still like go out and like walk around. Like you shouldn't go in anyway.
At the beginning of the pandemic, The Onion had one of my favorite articles, which basically nerds rejoice as like a new era arrives where everyone has to stay home and do everything over their computer.
Yeah. I heard people making the same sort of.
And I was like, yes, finally, this is my world.
Yeah, people are like, I spent like most of my 20s like just staying in, getting high, and watching movies. Like, I think I can handle this.
It would be easier to handle if it was paid for.
Well, right.
That's all I'm asking. And the virus would go away.
That's what these people don't take into account when they're like, being in lockdown is psychologically damaging, or it's bad for kids not to meet their friends at school. It's like, okay, while there's some truth to that.
You know what else is bad for kids? Family members dying.
Yeah.
When they're not supposed to.
And yes, most kids who get it don't die, but like some of them do. Also,
it makes it really risky for their parents and their teachers.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that they spread the virus, right? It doesn't matter if it even hurts them. And the thing is it is hurting them in unseen ways. Like, it's not, people seem to think like just because like a bunch of famous people have gotten it and gotten over it, that it's no big deal. But like, as I've pointed out a million times on this podcast, like, we already have there's already enough scientific data showing like you're going to have like lung damage, increased like chance of cancer, a whole laundry list of things.
I mean,
before I forget, like the thing I was bringing up is that what they don't take into account when they say the lockdown can be psychologically damaging, it might cause suicides to go up. Like Trump used to say shit like that. Like at the press conferences, like, well, there's you hear about the suicides, and it's like, shut the fuck up, man. You don't care. And maybe the reason people despair during lockdown is because they don't have a fucking job and they don't have any
resources,
money. That could be the reason.
I bet a lot of people would be completely fine with lockdown if they didn't have to worry about fucking rent.
People would love to stay home, and be like paid to stay home.
Probably paid more than their pennies that is the current minimum wage,
and if there's some
the
fucking
forever minimum wage, apparently
some psychos who like their like work is their life, well then fucking
yeah, I mean,
work from home, pretend you're working. Like, I mean,
I have family members who believe that philosophy, for better or worse.
Yeah, but I think that some of that would go out the window if you got a check that could sustain you for whatever amount of time that you should stay inside,
Well,
like
for those fuckers though, some of those fuckers, not all of them, but some of them, a $2,000 check is a massive cut in their monthly money pools.
Yeah, but
I have a feeling that the restaurant worker would be very happy just getting $2,000 and be like, fuck it, staying home, I'm gonna get high.
I mean, people like businessmen types, they can lock down and do all their work remotely. They don't need to, like, people that make a ton of money don't have to go into work every day physically.
But it's hard to get coffee with your mates and, to stand around the water cooler and talk about your fantasy football league at home. It's just not the same talking about fantasy football on Zoom.
Yeah, it's totally different and worth dying for.
It is.
And worth letting other people die.
People are killing themselves because they can't talk about their fantasy football league.
It's like the total lack of like any communal sense at all is part of what drives me crazy about it. It's like, but look, I'm fine. My job doesn't put me in danger. I've got my own corner office. It's like, do you even consider anyone else? Do you think everyone has their own corner office? Anyway,
they probably do.
No, they just don't give a fuck. People are less than. People that work at McDonald's aren't people. They might as well be like fucking soda fountains, just with teeth.
I do love a soda fountain with teeth.
All right, episode title.
No, it's super fucked. I mean, every time I think about this pandemic, I remember I haven't listened to the Daily in a long time, but there for a while I was listening to the New York Times podcast, The Daily, which I actually usually enjoy. Wasn't listening to it for better or worse, but because it's definitely like New York Times liberal media shit. Though they had one of the virus guys, one of the medical professionals on at the very beginning of this.
Bill Nye the virus guy.
Before it was a pandemic even. And he's like, right now is the time for the government to say everyone stay home for 2 weeks. Pay them. I mean, this was before it was not a pandemic yet. He's like, if we do that, like right now, it's not going to spread and we'll eradicate it. Imagine how much fucking money those fuckers would have saved. Have just been, oh, sure, 2 weeks off, everyone.
Yeah.
And we'd be here now, and probably the conversation we'd be having now is like, remember that really dumb 2 weeks where the whole world took off? Just in case.
Yeah. And like, oh man, I was just going to say the next virus, but I just had like this daunting, sudden feeling of like, this one's never going to end in my lifetime. I don't know. I mean, it probably will, but like, I could see this honestly dragging out for like 5 years.
Me too.
Like,
I don't think life ever goes back to normal anyways, or at least I think some people really expect things to just go back to normal, but even when it's eradicated, I wouldn't be surprised if there was just become like a standard of living and other stuff.
I mean, things I guess went back to normal after the Spanish flu, and I mean that was 50 million people dead.
That's true.
But I don't remember what the percentages were, where like the largest like death counts were, but I think the U.S. death total was like 600,000 something, which is not even that far away from where we are now.
We'll get there.
We're gonna get there by like March. It's almost guaranteed. I mean, Biden has said it already. He's like, there's nothing we can. He literally said, there's nothing we can do to change the course of this thing. Meanwhile, that the scientists are yelling at him, lock down now.
Do you think if the Republicans suddenly yelled at him that they wanted to lock down? And just turned table and they became the people. It's like, oh yeah, we're taking this seriously now. Do you think he'd still just be like, yeah, there's nothing we can do?
He'd probably want to be bipartisan, so he'd probably go along with it. Just do whatever the fucking Republicans say. Yeah, also on that tip, and I promise this is the last bit, and then we can get into the other things.
Oh no, it's fun.
So I've been thinking about this how much I hate the filibuster and how.
Can you explain the filibuster for me?
The filibuster is basically, it just allows people to stop. It allows people to prolong a debate over a bill indefinitely. That's why, like, in like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and stuff, like the famous thing of like the senator who's just been talking for hours and hours and hours, and like Bernie Sanders did it once, like about the Iraq War, and
yeah, I remember that.
But like it can, like, and then the way you can end a filibuster with something called a cloture, and
I've had so many filibusters when I was trying to decide what to eat with a group of friends.
And that requires, I think, and the thing is like the rules about this should have changed a lot, and like it's not like it's been this eternal law throughout like since the beginning of America either. like I think it's just since like the 70s. No, even later than that. I don't know. I was reading a whole article about it today, but I mean, the point is that like what it would mean nowadays, at the very least, is that if the Republicans don't like something that the Democrats are trying to pass, they can do a filibuster, which would require 60 votes to end the filibuster. And then require 60 votes on the thing that was being filibustered.
Filibustered.
But so like, and you know, before we were talking about how shitty Joe Manchin is, and like, I guess it looks like he's not alone. So there's this other senator I'd never even heard of, whose last name just seems like a fake porn star pseudonym.
You know, all senators are just paid actors.
They're too ugly.
Couldn't get a job in Hollywood. Couldn't cut it. Had to go to the next best place to make money, the Senate.
So there's this lady who apparently was like a advocate for the Green Party, or member even of the Green Party at some point, but now she's just like a really shitty corporate Democrat named Kirsten Sinema, spelled S-I-N. I find that funny as a name. And they've both said, like, unequivocally, we will never vote to end the filibuster. And like Mitch McConnell just you know, in that evil Mr. Burns way, like put his hands together and was like, excellent. So I don't know. This is all fucked up, man. Like, and like Bernie Sanders isn't going to save us. Like, he's not going to be able to get anything done if this is the case. Like there's this other, you know, there's budget reconciliation, but like that can be overridden very easily. Like Bernie's position is not that powerful, really.
It's the most power he's ever had.
Well, it's not that powerful. And ultimately Joe Biden can veto anything. Which, yes, can be then challenged again by Congress.
He has even made promises to veto certain things.
Yes, like Medicare for all.
Like that one. Though there's no reason that anyone would want Medicare for all these days.
Totally unnecessary.
People are healthier than they've ever been.
But I just don't understand why. I was looking for arguments for the filibuster, and like the only thing you can kind of find is people will say like it's about bipartisanship, but it doesn't. It's not. It doesn't guarantee like a fully bipartisan like agreement on anything. It's just a way to.
It's just a way to stop.
It's a way to stop a simple majority from passing a bill.
It's actually kind of nuts considering that the whole government is supposed to work on like majorities passing bills, and there's like a mechanism where like, no, we don't like that, so we can just like stand down here and talk for fucking ever.
Well, it just means Oh, you've got 51 votes against 50? Not good enough. You need 60 votes. That's really literally all it is, which means that you have to have like you have to have a 60% like domination of the Senate to count as a majority. When
I worry though.
Mathematically, it just doesn't work that way.
They get rid of the filibuster. Maybe they just make that the new rule. It's like nothing gets passed unless you get 60% votes now.
But that's essentially where it is right now.
Yeah.
So like, and I mean, McConnell's out there saying that like it would be a great attack upon the foundations of the traditions of the Senate to end the filibuster, because of course he's eager to use it the way he did during 2008 with Obama when they stopped him at every turn. Except now it's even worse because like the Democrats' majority is so slim. It's literally the vote of Kamala Harris. But I get the feeling like at first I was having the feeling of like, well, the Democrats just don't want to do a lot of these good things they could possibly do. And I still believe that. But now it's like a matter of, I don't know, like this is like almost like their perfect position is to have the slimmest majority, because then they can say, look, we won the Senate technically, but we can't do anything with it. Which is exactly what they want. We can't
make any big changes. We can continue to make small changes that...
But if there's small changes that the Republicans dislike for any reason, they're just... I mean, at this point, it seems like they're just going to be shut down.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe, and, all this stuff is so... All of the... like, the procedure and shit of within Congress is so fucking... unnecessarily convoluted, but the way I understand it is that that's basically what the situation is that we'll get nothing good ever, and yeah, so there's that. Because like it's not even, I don't know, like the filibuster, abolishing it doesn't even seem to be like an issue on the table right now, and it feels to me like it should be. But, yeah.
I thought it was, I mean, I've seen like newspapers talking about cases for the Democrats trying to abolish the filibuster like in the past week or so. So I thought it was
okay.
It's being brought some places.
Maybe it's being talked about at least. But yeah, so Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema have said,
so that just automatically means there's not enough votes for it, right?
Yeah, there's just not. I mean, unless there's some Republicans that want to get rid of it, which I can't imagine. Like,
highly doubt.
The Republicans are way more lockstep.
Who the fuck is this Joe Manchin guy? Is not just a fucking Republican?
He probably is like a fucking plant of some sort. I wouldn't be shocked. I was thinking about that earlier today.
Or he's just a dyed-in-the-wool Southern Republican of the strong Thurgood breed. His name's Strong
Thurman.
Who the fuck was that South Carolina guy? Jesus.
I don't know. George Thorogood? Isn't that the Bad to the Bone guy?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Joe Manchin, I don't know what his background is, but like,
sounds like a football player name.
It also sounds kind of like a porn name. Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema with an S. No, but I think that like he's like a useful asset to the Democrats. Like I think the DNC threw a ton of money at his campaign for him to win again, because they need somebody like that there to
they were running
to blame for not getting shit done. And he's happily playing his role. And he's a fucking millionaire. Of course. Like most of them are. Speaking of millionaires and billionaires.
Millionaires
What's
and
up with
billionaires.
this? What's up with the stock market these days?
Oh, the most amazing things happening in the stock market. Really, if I'm finding this to be like the most entertaining thing that I've witnessed, like natural event. Natural? I guess it's a natural event. Natural event tampering with an unnatural thing, the stock market. So, just a moment. The hedge fund, what's their name? The Melvin hedge fund. The Melvin hedge fund has been shorting GameStop and some other companies, basically. And a group of Redditors realized, hey, they're shorting them, so they're planning on buying or selling all this stock that they don't own yet. And then buying it back at a much lower price so they can, profit. But the Redditors realized, hey, if we all just buy it and keep buying into it, got such a big collective together to buy into it that the price has shot up. So now Melvin's in this situation to where they can't short it, and they basically have to pull the trigger and decide to buy back all the stocks at a much higher price because it's all borrowed, which is going to cost them a ton of money and make all these normie investors a lot of money. This is kind of like unheard of because sure, it's normal for hedge funds to play the market, but this is just a group of like internet users. Some of them probably do have more money than the average person, but a lot of them are just like, they just went in and it's like, okay, these are like $20 a share right now. Or these, at first I think they were $4 a share. The stock should probably be valued at $2 a share. Now it's up to $300 a share. But all these people together is like, well, we see that they're going to short this company, so why don't we just hop onto it and just buy and buy and buy and refuse to sell, which is going to drive the prices up. And now basically the hedge fund is left holding the bag. And the amazing part of it is these hedge funds that has fought for years to make sure the market is completely deregulated because the free market needs to be deregulated. Laissez-faire capitalism is the way. Are crying. It's like, oh my God, how could they do this to us? We got to regulate. We got to regulate now. And I just think it's hilarious. But I did want to kind of explain what a short is because I feel like it's a bit confusing. And I like this analogy for it that I'd borrowed from the internet. So it's basically, so Josh, I have a lot of money, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to pay you $5 to borrow your phone for a few months. I'm going to sell it on eBay because I expect it's going to be worth $50 in 2 or 3 months. Now I'm going to do that same thing about 500,000 times. Problem is there's only 400,000 of your phones in circulation. Now, Reddit knows that I owe you and a bunch of other people more of these phones than exist. So Reddit buys up all the phones on eBay, driving the price of the phone to $300 because Reddit knows in 2 months I have to buy those $300 phones to pay you back because we have a contract that says so. So basically that's what they're doing. Like Reddit's just like, okay, we just buy it all up and just keep the price high and force the person who's trying to short it into having to buy back all their shorted stocks at a much higher price.
I see. And so in the reality of the situation though, like it's at like kind of a standstill right now. Like this hedge fund hasn't lost all of their billions yet, right?
They haven't lost all their billions yet. So the way the short works is they buy it expecting the price to go down. Like, well, they borrow it. They never buy it to begin with. They basically go to you and say, hey, I'm going to borrow this from you. And then they sell it all for its current price with plans because of their market analysis. They're like, okay, I can sell it all now for $50 each. But I know next week it's going to be $40 each. So we'll buy it all back when it's $40 each. And then we'll pay back the money I borrowed from you or the and I have the profit, the $10 I made on each of the shares that I sold back, right, or bought back with the original money. But where the Reddit people like not cheated the system, but played the system, was they bought everything and held. And when you hold on to a stock and everyone starts buying up the stock, that makes the stock go up. And now the stock's at such a high place that the company that borrowed the stocks to sell them, to short them, to make a big profit, their only option is to basically either go bankrupt or buy back all the stocks at a much higher price, which means they're just going to lose a ton of money. It looks like they're going to lose $30 billion, which is a lot of money, I guess. But I think it's still at a standstill currently.
So,
which the worrying part is now some of the apps like Robinhood might start forcing people to sell their stocks because they've been updating their terms of policy.
It's so shitty that they can retroactively do that.
It's super shitty. And I think Melvin's kind of fucked, the hedge fund. But I do think the government's going to end up like bailing them out. I don't know how, but I just get this feeling that what's going to happen is there's going to be massive regulation on how normal people can trade and sell stocks, because they don't want this to be repeated. It's already kind of being repeated with AMC. Like, I'm sitting here half tempted to buy AMC at $18 a share and like actually stop being lazy and figure out how to do that, because if this repeats, which is what these people want to happen, AMC could be the next stock to go up to $100 and buying, spending the $100 of my bank account on 5 AMC stocks and then having $500 next week sounds kind of nice to me.
Yeah.
Free money school.
So,
but now that, let's say us common folk are onto the fact that we can do this, that we can like look up what companies are shorting who and then just kind of manipulate the price with online message boards, I'm sure they're going to regulate it away, our ability to trade stocks in such a way. Maybe saying something like, discussion of stock purchases online is now illegal. You cannot discuss what you're buying and selling. That is only for you and your financial advisor to know, and people with a license.
I want to say that seems far-fetched even for our insane world, but I guess it's probably not. I don't know. There's nothing even remotely illegal about what these people did.
No.
You said like you think they'll so somehow ban or prevent like quote unquote normal people, but like how can we distinguish between like a normal person and like a I mean, you would have to like restrict.
Here's the thing:
who can
normal people can only
stock.
operate the stock market during like set hours, and usually through apps like Robinhood. There's some other ones. But if you're a bigger hedge fund, you probably have a brokerage account, which means you can buy and trade at all hours a day. So there are different types of accounts. So I think that they do is just create even more types of licenses for trading on the stock market. Like already, like me and you were just like any normal person, the Wall Street Bet people on the subreddit work at a disadvantage when it comes to the stock market, because like we aren't allowed to trade at the same frequency and at the same and at all the times that like a bigger firm is allowed to.
I never even considered that. And that seems illegal.
The system's super rigged. I mean, it's like everything in the system is to the advantage of the big like investors.
Yeah.
They're only crying because the little guys this time pulled one over on them.
Yeah, they made them look like idiots.
Basically by just doing collective action, which is part of what impresses me so much about it.
Yeah, I like that in the Jacobin article you sent me, they refer to them as online pranksters.
Yeah.
But it says like they've done the world a service by reminding us of the utter uselessness of the stock market.
Oh, it's absurd. The stock market's an absurd thing that shouldn't exist.
It also says that they'll probably lose a lot of money. The Reddit group people that did this.
It depends. So right now, if they, So they've essentially pumped the stock up to a high value. The ones who sell out first, even though they're all egging each other on to hold as long as possible, just to keep pushing it up and up,
Right.
they'll sell out and they'll make money. But the thing is,
the diehards will be left
eventually someone's left holding the bag.
yeah.
Someone is going to be left holding the bag and not make money. But even that person, hopefully, isn't losing much money, and they're not going to lose near the quantities of money that this hedge fund's lost. But the hedge fund's probably going to figure out a way to get itself bailed out anyways, because they all figure out how to get free government loans because they're rich enough and have the pedigree to show us like, well, we weren't expecting the market to work this way. It's not the way it's supposed to work. We're highly educated, so please give us some type of government loan to make sure that we can continue running our business. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah.
I'm curious about this Reddit group. It says Wall Street Bets.
Yeah, the group's called Wall Street Bets.
It says one of the ringleaders is called Deep Fucking Value. I don't know why that's kind of funny.
It's funny.
So were they... Oh, I guess actually the article's kind of answering my question right here, but I guess you could too. I'm just wondering, do you know like what their motives were? Was it like a dual purpose? Like they wanted to make money, but they also kind of wanted to send a message they wanted to fuck this hedge fund over?
Well,
or did they just want to make money? Or do you know anything about like what their motives
shorting
were?
Some of they do want to make money. I mean, it's a subreddit called Wall Street Bets. Of course, people who want to make bets want to make money. That's why you bet. But a lot of the people on there, and just a lot of people in general, are disgusted by the practice of shorting. So there is a lot of targeted things where it's like, what if we pump these shorts? Because a lot of hedge funds make their money by shorting companies.
Right.
And like shorting's weird. I mean, you're basically making a bet that something's going to fail. Like generally you want to think about buying stocks as the original purpose of buying a stock was really to say, hey, I have faith in this company and I believe that in the future they're going to do well, so I'll make money off of their success.
Yeah.
But then when shorting became popular, which was part of what I think caused some of the collapse in the original like stock market collapse when they were doing the bull runs, was shorting is basically about like, well, this company sucks. They're worth $50 right now. I can buy all of this at $50, like hundreds of thousands of shares. Or sorry, I can borrow hundreds of thousands of shares from this guy that has it and sell them all for $50, and then next week buy them all back at $40 and give them right back. So shorting, you're just like betting on something to fail, and
Right.
like a lot of people on Reddit and other places, like it's kind of like it's kind of dirty in a way, like shorting. So like they're against shorting. They want to like take it to the hedge funds. That's the other thing. I think that a lot of these people, much like me, look at these giant investment firms, think they're nearly pure evil, and it's just like it's maybe just the troll nature of our generation, but it's really fucking fun to just be like, it's time to take it to them. And in a way, I feel like this is maybe hurting Wall Street more than even like Occupy ever did, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting if it would be interesting to see like a more overtly political group start tinkering with the market in this kind of like I almost want to say like terrorism sort of way.
Well, I'm sure
like,
some of the people in this are doing it just that, because like I think a lot of these people know the market's absurd, and it's just like they've saw a way to make money off of it or to fuck with it. And I think some of them literally just doing it to fuck with it. Like I think some of them, probably the more well-off ones, are like, yeah, this looks fun. We're fucking with like the financial systems. Why shouldn't we? They fuck with us all the time.
right. Yeah, it is sort of after all the COVID talk. I mean, it still sucks that like you say, this this hedge fund is probably going to be unscathed and might even get fucking taxpayer money out of it in the long run. But
I misspoke. So actually on Wednesday, CNBC reported that Melvin Capital, the hedge fund, had been forced into retreat. So they were forced into retreat. They closed out its short position on GameStop late Tuesday afternoon, which means that they had to buy back the stocks. Mm-hmm. While it's not exactly clear how much Melvin Capital lost, according to CNBC, Citadel's one of the owners of Robinhood, and Point72 have infused close to $3 billion into Melvin Capital to shore up its finances. So they've lost at least $3 billion. People think this much more.
Yeah, so wait, what was the connection again between Citadel and the Robinhood app?
Okay, so most of these Wall Street bet people, or most of this, even if I was going to buy and trade stocks, my first option would probably be Robinhood because it's easy to set up and it's one of the few apps where just a normal Joe can actually buy and sell stocks without going through a bank. I feel like it's been advertised to me
even on podcasts or something.
Yeah, exactly. They just recently, let me pull up the fall I sent you. But as of today, a few hours ago, they basically put out a notice to all of their customers. They wanted to say, hey, we wanted to reach out to you in the light of unprecedented volatility surrounding GameStop and AMC Entertainment. In an effort to help reduce risk, we've begun implementing certain restrictions on GME and AMC option trading. So effective immediately, all GME and AMC options with expirations of January 29th, 2021 will be set to closing transactions only, which I guess means that they have to be sold off. And additionally, our standard sellout procedures on GME and AMC have been adjusted to account for the increased risk. Because of this, your positions are at a higher chance than usual of being closed out if you're unable or choose not to close out the positions yourself. So basically they're saying they're going to close out their buys and sells instead of allowing you to take the agency of just holding, because that's what these people want to do. They want to hold and keep squeezing the stock and keep making it go higher and higher. They're basically saying, no, we can't allow this to go on anymore. So how does
because our app is literally owned by the same company that owns the hedge fund, right? Is that the connection?
Yeah, that's the connection.
Okay. Yeah.
Robinhood's owned by Citadel.
And Citadel
is owns
behind what is it?
Yeah, Melvin Capital.
Melvin? Yeah. Jesus. So yeah, that's
they justify saying if we determine that
by tomorrow. It's January 29th, right?
Right. They released this statement today because they're acting fast. They're like, oh, we gotta clean up this mess. Oh shit. We didn't realize people would use our app like this. Who knew they would organize? We just thought they would be normies and buy stocks they believed in, save up the money to get one trade in Apple or whatever.
I'm just going to read this this little paragraph from the Jacobin article.
I liked the Jacobin one.
GameStop bubble is a lesson in the absurdity of the stock market, absurdity and uselessness of the stock market. In the meanwhile, it's funny to see some Wall Streeters complain that there's something unfair about this action, since these are the sorts of games they play with each other and the general public all the time. They talk up stocks or talk them down, depending on their interests, and plot against what they see as weak or vulnerable players all the time. It's just the speculators with names like Deep Fucking Value who are savaging them for now are the wrong kind of people. They don't live in Greenwich houses with 20-car garages. Even more amusing are the earnest sorts who think these games somehow pervert the function of the stock market. As Business Insider columnist Josh Barrow declared on Twitter, I know people think this is fun, but why do we have a stock market? So productive firms can raise capital and do useful things. Detaching stock price from fundamental value. GameStop is now worth almost as much as Best Buy. Makes the markets serve the real economy worse. A bunch of whiny, delusional fuckheads.
I think
it is funny.
Personally, I find this whole thing beautiful. I hope the AMC thing pans out. I know I said I was considering buying AMC stock. I probably won't because I've also said I'm lazy. But I like this type of shakeup. It's good to see. It's good to see actual people affect the system. It's not exactly the changes I want to see or the effects that I dream of, but
it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, and I know that it's hurting what I consider bad people.
Yeah. And it is ultimately just funny. It's funny to see these guys like crying in public about
it's absurd.
How unfair it is suddenly.
It's absurd how money works. Like, it's just ridiculous that this is our financial system.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
and they can't push out $2,000 checks to regular people, but all this shit goes on.
It's funny how, gambling is seen by a lot of people as being like immoral, right? Like it's kind of like, I don't know, like on like religious grounds or whatever, it's seen as like a vice or whatever, a sinful thing. But like the same people who might, and even if people don't think that anymore, like, I don't know, like they might think certain types of gambling are kind of harmless, whatever, like go play the slot machines or whatever if you go out to like on vacation to Vegas. Sure. But like no, like that same sort of like group of people, that same sort of subculture of, let's say, conservative evangelicals, they got no problem with the stock market, which is like the like most repulsive form of a casino there is.
Because
it has like huge real world effects negatively on, and like also it's just like in principle it's the Gordon Gekko thing. It's fucking greed is good, like the people that are really driven by and spend their life like chasing stocks up and down. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to imagine like a worse person in a way. I mean, it like literally, it's so funny with that quote I just read, that guy, Business Insider columnist talking about firms raising capital to do useful things. Like, the fuck are you talking about, man?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Craziness.
So coronavirus is winning. The stock market is losing. That's where we're at in this saga. This saga that eventually leads to everyone's demise. Hopefully the stock market goes down first.
Before coronavirus.
That's where I'm at.
You got real strong priorities.
What's a few deaths so we can get rid of true evil?
Yeah, if there was some way to, whatever, parody. I was going to wish ill upon everyone who trades stocks. And I just did, sort of.
Yeah.
Well, I feel spent.
Yeah, me too. I think we've talked about enough.
Yeah. Let's recommend some stuff.
Yeah, let's do that. What should we recommend, though?
I got something in mind.
Okay.
Kind of two things, I guess. So while we were talking about the stock market stuff, and you're like, you seem pretty fascinated by it as well. I was thinking to myself, you should watch that show Billions.
I should watch Billions.
Billions is great. I wish I hadn't like seen the whole series twice already, because I'd like to rewatch it again. It's very, very fun show. Paul Giamatti, good stuff. And it's all about just, I mean, it's about politics and just giant investment firms and where the points where they intersect, and just rich assholes chasing power. And it's so like over the top. That's what's kind of entertaining about it. So I recommend that. And I'll recommend a second television show that I just have been on a rewatch of the last couple days. It's on the new Korean version of Netflix app, Watcha. Silicon Valley.
I love that show.
Rewatching it, and yeah, it's very funny. It's still very funny. I mean, I watched it when it came out originally. I guess not even that long ago, a few years ago, 5 years ago. And lots of good, like, sort of UCB improv guys who, you know, got into real acting, like Thomas Middleditch. He's like the main character. I like seeing him in almost anything. He's just really funny to me. And it's a big tall guy, Zach Woods. He's really good too. Yeah, so also a show that I guess has issues we've brought up on the podcast. Stuff about just giant tech industry, and it just kind of makes fun of a lot of it, I guess, and like the absurdity of like trying to be the next, like, you know, Twitter or whatever, trying to make the next hot app. And there's so much what I perceive to be actual like coding and computer tech language in it that I don't really understand, but it seems like they actually did their research, but maybe it's all just nonsense too.
I think they did. No, they definitely did.
Yeah.
I watched all that show. I know that they...
It's fun. And like when I'm watching it, sometimes it's just like, wow, that improv guy remembered all that really technical shit. He's a pretty good actor. So that's what I got. Billions and Silicon Valley.
I'm going to recommend a classic because last night I found myself up with nothing to do, and I put an emulator on my computer and I played through Mega Man 2, and then I played through Mega Man 4. And Mega Man, 8-bit Mega Mans for the Nintendo Entertainment System, known as the Famicom, everywhere else in the world. The greatest games ever made. So I recommend Mega Man. And if you don't want to play Mega Man, just listen to the Mega Man soundtracks. They were my number 1 played soundtracks or albums on Spotify this year.
Really? Like the original music?
Yeah, the 8-bit music.
That's cool. That was a game I actually totally passed by for some reason when I was a kid. I don't know why.
Oh, that's interesting. You're the same age.
Yeah, I mean, like, I knew of it. And
you didn't get on the hype train.
I don't know. It wasn't
Blue Bomber hype train.
It wasn't conscious really at all. I think maybe I thought it was like very, very samey.
It was pretty difficult. I know some people...
I remember hearing that too. Maybe I just didn't want to play something difficult.
I think some people have issues with that. All of those old side-scroller games are just memorization games, and they are memorized in my soul and spirit, even last night picking it up. It's like, this is me. This is what I trained for. Like, as a kid, I was learning to be a super soldier for side scrollers. Sadly, that never came to pass.
So wait, why 2 and 4?
They're just my 2 favorites.
Okay.
I mean, those are good. I think there's 8 in the series. I'm sure there's 8. But 2 and 4, I think, are the 2 best on the Nintendo.
Is that a game that like went on to like all like the more like advanced systems? I don't even know.
Yeah, it just went on to other systems. Yeah, they made a one for Switch. I didn't play it though. I should at some point. I have a Nintendo Switch that I never play.
I've heard they're fun.
So yeah.
All right.
That's it.
Okay. Cool.
I'm gonna stop recording on my side.
Me too. I'll see you later. All right, bye.